Can you feel it? That simmering tension boiling over beneath the silence of another long Detroit offseason? Is this finally the storm ready to break? That singular moment when everything hangs in the balance and the Lions' destiny pivots on a razor's edge? There's a buzz, a ripple through Ford Field and beyond, whispers spreading like wildfire inside the front office, cryptic social media posts vanishing from timelines, voluntary workouts conspicuously skipped, and a hushed sense of upheaval ready to shake the very foundation of this franchise. Insiders are throwing out words like seismic, shockwaves, and contract standoff with such gravity that you can almost hear the echoes bouncing off the Detroit River. If this rumor is real, if the shadows creeping through the Lions' offseason aren't just smoke, but an ominous sign, then the NFC North might feel an impact unlike anything it's seen in a generation. The pivotal figure at the eye of this storm? None other than Alex Anzalone, the motor of our defensive machine, the linebacker whose absence last season carved out a gaping hole on the field and in our hearts. He's more than just a player. He's the blueprint of what Detroit defense should be: relentless, gritty, and heart-stopping. But now, whispers of a stalled contract negotiation have ignited a firestorm. Anzalone, with his social media post "Respect is due" pinned and then mysteriously removed, is clearly sending a message from the depths of his competitive soul, a silent demand that has rocked the foundation of one of the league's most underrated defensive core. This is a man who, even after fracturing his form and missing critical time, came back to pump life and steel into a defense hungry for a statement. Keeping him locked down isn't just about dollars on a contract sheet. It's about preserving the identity of the team and the burning hopes of a city starved for greatness. Detroit's history is littered with heartbreak. A frustrating carousel of near misses, of rebuilds so long and harsh they tested even the most devoted fans' faith. Remember those harrowing playoff moments slipping through our fingertips? The echoes of '57 reminding us of a defense that nearly claimed glory but ended up etched in longing and what-ifs. Anzalone's presence is that pulse, connecting present hope to decades of yearning. But here's where the story twists. Anzalone will be 31 this year, about to enter the twilight of his prime, while his peers, younger players like Derek Barnes, who command comparable or even higher contracts, throw a curious wrench into negotiations. The Lions risk overpaying an aging warrior, or losing him to the tantalizing prospect of elsewhere, leaving the defense exposed and the fan base fragmented. Imagine the fallout if the front office chooses cash over character. Would the locker room fracture without its defensive heartbeat? Or, dare we dream, does this negotiation spark a fireworks display of confidence, unity, and a playoff run that finally answers decades of disappointment? The pressure feels immense, the decision momentous, and the consequences profound. What if this walkout drags into the season, the silence on the field growing deafening as a key cog watches from the sidelines? What if it's all a staged chess move, a setup for a blockbuster announcement that electrifies the city and turns Ford Field into a fortress unlike any it has ever been? Detroit's lines are perched on the knife's edge between renewed hope and crushing despair. And as the social media teases vanish and the offseason clock ticks down mercilessly, one thing is clear. This story is far from over. If this domino falls just right or wrong, the ripple effect might unleash the wildest, most emotionally charged offseason in Lions history. Somewhere in this mix of price tags and pride, of futures and fears, lies the beating heart of Detroit itself, waiting to roar again. Stand up, Lions fans. Throw your hands in the air and scream raw and loud until your neighbors know the city is furious, unbowed, and on the brink of a seismic shift that no one outside these gritty streets will understand. The tension crackling in the air, can you feel it deep in your bones? This isn't just contract talk or off-season rumor mill noise. It's the fragility of hope wrestling with the cold, hard reality of football economics and the soul of a team that's crawled through hell before. What if right when the city thought it could breathe, the front office fumbles this moment, like so many heartbreaks past? Imagine buzzards circling if Anzalone knew there was a real chance he'd be watching another Lions season like a ghost at the feast. No helmet, no glory, just a silhouette in the stands and a void where Detroit's defensive heartbeat should be. And don't think for a second that rival locker rooms and front offices aren't sharpening their knives, watching Detroit's turmoil with hungry eyes. The Packers plotting to exploit a defense suddenly fragile, the Vikings craving to pounce on weakened lines, and those Bears waiting to duplicitously strike and make it a historic collapse in a division already ripe with grudge matches? Down in the trenches and watching from the sidelines, Charles Harris, Aiden Hutchinson, and the gang must feel eyes burning into them, knowing the defense's backbone is at a crossroads. Will the spirit that carried us through seasons as dark as the tomb rise or crumble? This delicate dance between loyalty and ledger won't just define a franchise. It will ripple through the psyche of every fan who has suffered through the long, endless months of losses, the emptiness of 0-16, the deafening silence after Caldwell's firing, and the agonizing near misses that flared hope then crushed it, like Calvin Johnson's prime years spent shouldering dreams too heavy to bear alone. How many times have we watched in stunning disbelief, hearts exploding and tearing simultaneously as the Lions faltered in the wild-card shadows? And yet every time we returned to Ford Field with Barry Sanders' ghost whispering legacy into the rafters, the crowd erupted, roaring not just for a team, but for a city, for a battered identity. Now, standing on the edge of a new dawn, this act of negotiation feels like a wager on history itself. Like the Dan Orlovsky Enzo play all over again. A split-second gamble that could ignite Detroit's rise or deepen the wounds of failure etched into our collective memory. Picture the reverberations on the locker room. Anzalone's silence louder than any chant, leadership tested beneath the weight of contracts and clashing ambitions. Will younger phenoms step up and fill the void with fresh fury? Or will the absence of this warrior rip apart the thread of unity and resilience painstakingly woven last season? Could this be Caldwell's shadow revisiting, or is it the faint gleam of a new era on the horizon, promising that last year's playoff taste wasn't a cruel tease, but a herald of what's to come? The stakes are monstrous, the pressure suffocating, and the potential for a narrative to either shatter or spectacularly explode within our grasp feels like the cruelest tease of a Lions fan's existence. With every passing hour, the city holds its breath. Ford Field lights flickering like a heartbeat ready to either surge or stop cold. And the question pounds louder than any drum in the stadium. Will Detroit's soul be sold for a few coins? Or will the pride and pain of decades ignite a fire no rival can douse? We stand at a precipice where history is alive and screaming, clawing for one last shot, one last haunting, unforgettable moment to vindicate years of suffering and affirm that this city's roar will never be silenced again.